I want to reveal something to you. I want to reveal a new technology that you may or may not know about. So recently, I was in shul, and the Kohanim, the priests, were blessing the congregation. And they were saying those words, Yivarechecha. And they were blessing the congregation, and the words that were coming out of their mouth were words of blessing. And I'm thinking to myself, these words are so powerful. The words Yivarechecha means you will have and you should have financial abundance. And who should give it to you? Hashem. V'yishmerecha, and it should be protected from who? The bad guys. And those words that the priests are saying are shaping reality. And I remember thinking, and I'm under my talus, and they're under the talus, and they're doing the Kohanic blessing. And I remember thinking that this is literally shaping my reality. The words that are coming out of their mouths are shaping my reality. Now, this is the technology. If I were to come to a caveman, and I were to show and try to describe to this caveman, do you know that there's a little device, and literally you could talk to another human being on the other side of the world, another caveman, if you wanted, on the other side of the cave lady, cave woman, on the other side, and you could even maybe, like, there could be a dating thing, and you guys could make a platform for cave people, and you could talk to them on this screen, and they're not even here; they're very far away, many savannas away. What would he think if I were to come to him and
magic? You're out of your mind.
You think you're nuts. You mamish. You. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know.
Probably throw a rock at you.
He'd probably throw a rock at you. You think you're threatening him. Maybe he'll try to eat you. I don't know. No, he doesn't even believe in the idea.
Does he speak English?
You'd motion to him with caveman motions. You draw hieroglyphic.
Do you understand hieroglyphics?
You go down to his level, if you will, to try to explain. Now, he thinks you're nuts. Now, are you nuts?
Yes.
No, you're not. Because if I come to you right now and I say, there's a device that you could talk, you're like, yeah, that's called a telephone. I remember only a few years ago, they had a show called The Jetsons. And The Jetsons was like a futuristic thing. And one of the things on The Jetsons was this screen where you could talk to people on the other side of the world. And I remember being a little kid, cartoons, and watching this. No way. It's never going to be. It's so impossible. Now, the only reason I was saying that because I just lacked understanding. I was a caveman. And the way that I look at this caveman, if I know that such a thing exists, I feel bad for this person. I feel bad that he doesn't appreciate the technology. He's lacking in his awareness. He's just a caveman. You have to feel bad for that person that he's not sensitized to the technology. So when I tell you, my friends, that there's something much more sophisticated, there's a technology that when somebody puts black boxes on their head that is written by a kosher scribe with the right intentions and the right formula, that is a technology that could take your soul in a very delineated way into upper chambers and upper universes. And if you respond to me, uga aga, so I look at you as a caveman. And I feel bad that you can't appreciate the sensitivity and the depth of the technology. And when the Kohanim are giving us a blessing, Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, and I can't understand, for whatever reason, how that's actually creating spiritual abundance in the world, it's because I don't appreciate the technology of the words that are coming out of the lips of the Kohanim at that time of the day, with a talus on, with your hands in that position. It's all part of technology. And this that we were told on the playground, that sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but words can never hurt me, is the biggest lie in the entire world. It's the most anti-Torah concept, because words are technology. Words create reality. And therefore, we've brought you here to a place. What yeshiva means is getting you sensitized to very advanced technology. The Torah is very advanced. The Torah is from God. Is the most sophisticated technology in the world. And the technology of how your thoughts influence reality and will influence your position in the world to come. And that certain actions create certain results. And yes, turning on a light switch on Shabbos is detrimental. There's a mashal that I once heard, a very, very beautiful mashal. That a person came to the rabbi's house and he said, lights, what does it really do? And the guy started turning it on, off. And the rabbi, whoa, be careful. The guy, what do you mean? Look, try it. Look, nothing's happening. On, off. He said, let me give you an analogy. He said there were two people that were sent by their secret services to be cells in a bunker deep in the earth, and they had to wait for command to tell them to come out. There was only one thing. It was a deep bunker that had a lot of buttons. It was like a command center. There was just one thing they couldn't do. You know what it was? There was that button there, the big red one. Just don't push that. Whatever you do. They said, we can't tell you, just don't. That's right. The case thing, the double verification thing, just don't push that button. Whatever you do. So of course they followed orders and they didn't push anything, but the days turned into weeks. And the weeks turned into months. And all of a sudden one of the guys one day says, hey, Johnny, what about that button over there? What? That was the only thing we were told not to do. Are you nuts? Are you crazy? It's like, no, Johnny, don't be nuts. Or Johnny's the same guy. Bobby's the crazy guy. Bob, don't do that. Bobby, whatever you do, don't touch the button. He's like, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. Boom, no. Nothing. Again, nothing, silence. A short time later, they get a call that they can come out of the bunker. They come up and they see that missiles were launched, and there's a wasteland. And they only realize now, oh my goodness, that button did something. The button did something. So this rabbi told the person in his house, you don't understand, when you're pushing the light switch, you're in a bunker. You don't get it. You're sending off missiles that you'll only appreciate once you get out of the bunker. Once you come to a place where you realize the depth of the technology that we're talking about. And just because I can't appreciate it down here, once I understand that God gave me the technology and it's solid, then I want to be careful with it. And I know that it works. Do you need to know how a computer works before you use one?
Yeah.
Partially.
Can you explain to me how microchips work?
You need to understand the CPU.
There's logic.
But you all use them, right? Do you know that it works? Okay, so 1 in a million could probably explain how microchips work exactly, but other people know that they work, right? How do things work? Could you build one?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe okay, there's smart people in this room. Baruch Hashem. Maybe a couple guys could build one. But most people, if you were to interview them, if you go into New York City, just say, do you actually know how your, iPhone is working?
Yes.
He's like, I don't mean you. I mean, you're going on into New York interviewing people. You're the interviewer. So what do you think the guys are going to say?
No.
They're going to say, I have no idea. Like, I just know that it works when I press this button. It turns on.
Try and ask them where the United States is on a map.
Yeah, fine. Show me where. Yeah. So many people, they don't know, but they know that it works. They know that it works. So why am I bringing that? Once you know the Torah works and is a sophisticated technology, even before you understand how tefillin takes you through different spiritual worlds and brings you to different places, the fact that you know that it works means you put them on. As you go through life, you start learning more about the technology. But a person to say, you know what, I'm not going to put on tefillin until I totally understand how it works. So maybe you shouldn't, use a computer. For those that don't know how it works, maybe you shouldn't. Do you understand how a Boeing 747 flies? Do you know the aerodynamics behind it? How it works? Could you build me one? No. I'm sorry, so I can't. I'm not going to actually fly till I know how it works. Once you know that it works and the Torah works, so then you're going to spend your life figuring out the secret and the codes of how it works. And it's very sophisticated. It's much more sophisticated than microchips. Much more sophisticated. It involves how speech influences. It involves how the intentions of the person writing the parchment that are inside your tefillin boxes. It involves how, when hands are moved in different motions, that creates a reality. It involves knowing why. Then you get into Kabbalah. Why that certain people don't want to cross their fingers, cross their legs. Because even the patterns of energy coming into the world correspond to your body. Everything is a technology. They understand why hair on this side of the head is different. And there's different codes in it. And why not only we don't shave the side, because the Torah says explicitly that it's not allowed. But there's a technology of what this brings into the world. So this is a technology. This is the technology I wanted to reveal today. And knowing that the ultimate of that technology is called the technology of Torah. Torah is the most sophisticated. Everything flows out of Torah. It's the ultimate technology. And Torah is something that you do with the highest faculties, which is your consciousness. Okay, my friends? So with these few minutes, let's continue with our Zohar. And we've been talking about idol worship. And the main point we left off with is we explained how Nebuchadnezzar, who was a real evil dude, but he knew dark magic, how he created an idol, and then he ransacked the Beis HaMikdash. He ransacked the Holy Temple. And one of the things that he got his hands on was the tzitz, was the head plate, the golden head plate of the high priest that said Kodesh LaHashem, holy to God. No, that's the tefillin. The tzitz is the special, cool golden head plate of the Kohen Gadol. And it had God's name, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Heyand. And he put that name inside the idol's mouth, and the idol became animated and started saying, I am the Lord your God. And Daniel, it's trippy, and Daniel was able to destroy the idol by having the idol vomit out the name of God, and then the idol broke. Was de-animated, if that's a word. Is it a word? Was unanimated because the animation of the idol only came because the word of God, the name of God. That's a technology. That the animation, and this is also a spiritual analogy, that we're only animated because the word of God is moving through us. Okay? So that's what we're holding. And then the question now on the table is, wait a second, how does that work? So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's son, Rabbi Elazar, said, but Abba, V'chi yochel barnash la'olev shma dekut shebrichu l'magona. Does God allow somebody to learn the secrets of Kabbalah, to learn all the secrets, and then take God's holy name and then use it for bad things? Meaning use this animating force to animate idols and destructive forces and manipulate nature? Does God allow such a thing? And look at the response. Amar lei, one word. In. Yes. God gives free will. God gives free will. That's very important. And therefore God will allow you to understand all the secret. Now, don't do that. And then use them for the bad. That's the free will, is that you can understand the secrets and then use them for the good. Okay? So that's what we're up to. Very interesting point. Is a person allowed to carry on Shabbat?
If there's an Eruv.
Let's say there's no Erev.
No.
What's an Erev, by the way?
Threat.
A wall that allows public air to become private.
What does even the word Erev mean?
A border, no?
Erev means to blend, to mix, to blend. To blend thing, a taroivis, to blend something together. There's two main domains when it comes to this technology. There's the domain called private domain, and then public domain. There's also this thing called the Carmelists, but there's Rishus HaYachid. Rishus HaYachid means you are in a private domain. Walls, whatever constitutes that.
Private property.
Private property, private domain. Then there's public domain. Public domain is you left your house, you're now in Times Square. You left your house, you're now in a public thoroughfare. We have a law that you can't go from a private domain to a public domain holding things. You can't carry stuff out. Okay? That's called hotzah. You also can't go from a public domain to a private domain. And it's interesting, you think like, why not? Okay, there's deep secrets in this, and so much of the halachas of Shabbos revolve around this concept. So how do you say a private domain?
Hotzah. No, I mean...
That's it, hotzah. That's the process of bringing something out, carrying something. That's called hotzah. A private domain is called Rishus HaYachid.
Private or shoot?
Rishut is a domain. Yachid means literally a one. It means one, echad. And Rishus HaRabin means the domain of the many, which is an interesting concept. There's the domain of oneness and the domain of where all of a sudden there's like multiplicity. Meaning in your home, it's private, it's one. There's a certain vision that you hold to your home of what that home should be. And let's say you create your home on holy values, so that home is sacred. And you have walls on your home. You evil man, why are you keeping out the streets? Tear down the walls. Tear down the walls. So if I were to present that you say, you're nuts. You know, nobody has just open door policy on their house. Because even still, that was for the Sudas. Even still, there was a certain privateness. There's a certain privateness, and that we have homes that have walls. Because we understand that if I let anything into my house, that anything comes in, yeah, no problem. Then it means that nothing is really sacred.
How are we supposed to be a light unto the nations then if we don't allow people...
So that's called an erev, by the way, is you make the whole world into a Rishus HaYachid. You make the whole world into one home. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not multiculturalness. That just means that we have a unified vision of God. Is that we're unified in the vision of being created by the God who is one. We're all in that together. But not like the rabbin, where there's a lot of weird ideas, you know. Rab means a lot of multiplicity. If you go to the streets, you know, go to some, don't do this, but you go to some cracked out, you know, just like Rishus HaRabin. It's like, so what's the purpose of life? It's like, you got crack, bro. What's up with you? Okay, moving on. So what do you say the purpose of life is? And you might hear a lot of very interesting things. And we want to bring a unified purpose that we're all included in. Unified means there's one vision with a lot of different colors. By the way, it's a very multicultural vision. Multicultural. Everyone has a place in that under God. We're all unified in this. And just like a symphony, you need different musicians. If it was all one musician, then it's not. You need different musicians. Yeah, you need everybody. Everybody there. Different musicians, but it's all one symphony. We're all playing the same song. We're all singing the same song to God, but we all have our own voice. We have our own contribution. So look what the Rebbe says. So you know what it's like? You know what idol worship is likened to? Someone who goes from Shabbos, listen carefully, from Reshus HaYachid. Yachid means one vision, i.e., the one. And he takes items out, and he goes to the rabbim. He starts going outside, where there's multiplicity, there's a lot of different things. It's like he's taking, that's like Nebuchadnezzar, he took the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and he brought it out to the idols. He's taking from Reshus HaYachid, he's pulling it out. He's trying to put God's name and infuse it into idol worship and animate the world of idols. Yeah. And the opposite is also true. He wants to then take things from the rabbin. He wants to pull idol worshiping ideas and into the house. He's taking items, he's carrying items into the home. Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar is hardcore stuff. Ki'ilu hai, so what is he doing? All the way back to our original story. Now, by the way, this gets wild here. It's like he's taking a seed out from the place where seed comes from. And the seed is getting trapped in a place where it shouldn't go to. And through that, giving birth to entities that should not have been birthed. Why are they being birthed? Because he was not having relations in a healthy, positive way. Meaning he took something from his holy sanctuary and he put that, it's like hotzah, it's like carrying from a holy place to something that can't be taken to. That's also, yes. Shalom, guys. That's also, you can't take something. So, but with your wife, so that's taking from a single domain and you're all unified in it. It's not like going outside to a new domain. You're one. You've unified as one. And a person, God forbid, who is taking things out from the private domain and carrying them to the rabbin, not in the way that they should be. It's like he's planting trees. Remember we talked about that tree all the way in the beginning, that tree up there? That's the good and evil. He's creating more of these trees of confusion. Well, all of a sudden the good spark is getting implanted in all sorts of very, very dark places. And really what he's doing is he's trapping those sparks. That's like Nebuchadnezzar. He's putting the spark of God into the idol's mouth. And the idol becomes animated and it's like, I am the Lord your God. And that's like, some media company, I am the Lord your God. Say what do what I say.
I have a question. So what's the meaning of not mixing two separate seeds together?
Kilayim is that certain energies have to be kept separate. It's very, very important not to mix those energies. It gets back to Cain and Hevel. We'll have to talk about it another time. Itmar loy tasel lecha pesel ve'al barata. We'll just finish this little shtickle. This havidas begavna da is karis masecha. A person who is born of such a unholy union is called masecha. So when it came to idol worship, remember the verse. The Zohar always explains the verse on a deeper level. Don't make yourself a graven image. So this graven image is called the Maseh. That's like a child, God forbid, that's born from that is like a graven image. These are people that are coming out. Now, I have to tell you something. If somebody was born of not a holy union, does that mean, there's nothing to do? No, you could redeem the spark from that person. Who was one of the greatest human beings of all time? Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu was a Ben Nida. He was born from a very unholy union, and he became maybe one of the greatest human beings in the entire world. And therefore, it doesn't matter where a person came from. Anybody could become like Avram Avinu.
Was he Jewish?
He had the soul inside of him. He became the first Jew, the father of all of humanity. Anybody could become powerful like Avram Avinu. So no, even though he was born into idol worship, he's been our hero here. He was born into idol worship. It doesn't matter. He was like this. He was born to horrible things. He became the greatest human being. He rejected idol worship. My friends, let us reject idol worship now and forever. Amen. Have a wonderful day.